I found out recently by mistake from my wife's friend that she has been cheating on me for 20 years. I chose to end our marriage. My wife, 44 years old, and I, 43 years old, have been married for 20 years. We met in high school and fell in love. I was a junior and she was a senior. We dated from afar for a while she was in her first 2 years of college and I finished high school and a year at community college. We eventually went to college in the same city, and since then we haven't been apart, living together and making our lives together. We got married the summer after I graduated from college, and our marriage has been great so far. But I just recently started the divorce process after finding out that she had been seeing other guys during those 2 years of long distance. We got together with a few of my wife's college friends right after Christmas. We laughed and talked about the good old days over dinner and shared stories on a cozy evening. My wife lightly brought up the fact that we met in high school during the talk. She only said that we knew each other from high school and didn't say that we were dating at the time. Someone from her college days told her how amazing it was that we met so young, had such a crazy time in college, and then ended up together. I laughed and said I wasn't sure if my wife was as crazy as I had been. The roommate then started to tell a story. But my wife cut her off quickly, saying she didn't feel comfortable. The way she reacted so quickly made me suspicious. I chose to make things clear by saying that we started dating in high school and stayed together through her whole college career. There was a strange silence at the table, and things were tense for the rest of the night. Another friend of hers pulled me aside as we were leaving and told me I should be honest with my wife about what really happened when she was in college. A bad feeling wouldn't leave me on the way home from dinner. That's why I asked my wife what her friend had said. She told me it wasn't a big deal, which made me feel bad. While I was telling her that it was important for her to be honest with me, she said it wasn't important. Her lack of interest in me only made me more suspicious. I made up my mind to stand firm when we got home. I told her I would live with my brother until she was ready to talk about what really happened while she was in college. She showed up the next day, clearly upset. She finally said that she had slept with several guys in her first 2 years of college. She tried to play it down by saying that she didn't think it was a big deal because we were dating across the country, and she didn't think our high school romance would last. The truth of this hit me like a ton of bricks. I was angry and hurt as I asked for more information. It turned out to be at least 10 different men, including 3 guys she had introduced me to as friends when I came to visit on the weekends and 1 guy she was still in touch with. Hearing this made me feel angry, sad, and betrayed all at the same time. I knew this was bad for our marriage. I told her I was ready for a divorce and would start the court process right away. I kept my promise and started the process on January 2nd. Her efforts to play down what she did and ignore how I felt only made my choice stronger. That wasn't the only thing that was wrong. For decades, people had been lying and being rude to each other. Most of my family and her family tell me I shouldn't end my marriage because of a few mistakes. These people keep telling me that I should forgive her because we have a long past together and messed up sometimes. But I don't think this is just a matter of a few mistakes. That person behaved in a certain way for many years. I can't forget that you cheated on me with several guys for 2 years, no matter when it took place. This level of rudeness is unacceptable because she kept dating these guys right in front of me and even introduced them as friends. Both of our kids are 17 and 19, so they are pretty much adults now. I think they will understand why I need to end the marriage. They think of us as a loving couple, and I hope they understand that my choice is to protect my honor and self-respect. I think I'm going crazy because so many people are telling me to forget about years of cheating and lying. I hear people telling me to forgive and forget so that we can save what we've built everywhere I look. They tell me I'm being too tough and that I should remember the good times and the life we've shared. But how can I? Every memory is now ruined by the fact that I know she betrayed me. It's not just cheating that bothers them, it's the lying. The lies. Keep being friends with the people she cheated on with. What makes me think I can trust her again? When I know what she did, how can I still look at her the same way? And how she ignored how I felt when I told her about them. There are times when I wonder if I'm being too tough or exaggerating. Then I remember how hurt I was when she told me about her affairs. The hurt and anger that rushed through me. I remember those nights when I wondered how she could put me in touch with those guys. How she could keep those friendships going without feeling bad about it. There's no way I can just get over it. Our marriage is over because of a serious breach of trust. Should I stay or should I leave? I don't believe that. It makes me feel like I have to fight for my honor. To protect my right not to be lied to. Not to be treated badly in such a deep way. There's no need to get even or hold a grudge. It's about realizing that once you cross some lines, you can't go back. A few of my wife's friends have been telling me that it's okay to sleep with other people while being in a long-distance relationship. They say I'm the only one who doesn't do it. I thought someone was pulling a fast one on me and needed a different point of view. It takes a certain amount of time in our state to complete a divorce, so I thought it would be smart to get some advice before everything is set in stone. The few people who agreed with these comments are in the minority. They say it's normal for people in long-distance relationships to sleep around. We saw each other a few times a month during those 2 years of college. I lived 3 hours away from where she went to college. Even though it was far away, it wasn't like the whole country was between us. We saw each other every few months. The 3 guys I met while she was in college were people she met at parties. There were no official meetings, these were just casual get-togethers at parties. I don't think they knew we were dating because we never talked about the fact that I was her boyfriend. We still see one of these guys because he married a college friend of ours. He's not a secret person she's been texting on the side. They are someone we've both kept in touch with for years. When I found out my wife was cheating on me, I talked to him a few times to get his point of view. It was back then that he told me he didn't know we were dating. Out of respect for me, he has since blocked my wife on social media. Some people have asked how her college roommates didn't figure out how long our wedding would last. How we celebrated our wedding is the key to the answer. In Texas, my wife and I had a very small wedding with only close family. We then went back to the East Coast and threw our friends a big party. We skipped the traditional part of wedding receptions where couples talk about how they met and how they got to be together. So, her friends never figured out that we started dating before she started college. They think we only started dating during the year we lived in the same city together and then moved in together. Because they didn't fully understand, they never questioned the timing or thought there might be cheating. I was ready to try treatment or something else to save the marriage. I really think that we might be able to get through this if we work at it. But her determination that what she did was fine and that I'm the one who's being too sensitive has been too much for me to handle. As long as we're not together, she keeps telling me that sleeping with other people is normal and that I'm being ridiculous. When I started the divorce papers was the only time she apologized or even offered to make things right. That moment of regret didn't last long. In the last week, she's gone back to her old position, saying that she's right and I'm overdoing. I feel like I'm being gaslighted because of all this back and forth. I think it's very clear that what she did was a big deception. My wife and other people tell me it's common, and that I'm the one who's making a big deal out of nothing. Her lack of interest in me only makes things more confusing and frustrating for me. I tried to tell her how much her cheating on me hurt me. I thought she would understand how serious the situation was, but instead she plays down my feelings, saying they are a response to something small. As if she were to change the rules of our relationship, she expects me to agree with them without question. It drives me crazy that my feelings are constantly being brushed off. I think someone is trying to get me to doubt my own thoughts and feelings. Our relationship is getting worse because she won't take responsibility for her actions and tries to make cheating seem normal. Not only does she cheat on me, but she doesn't understand why it's such a big deal and how cheated I feel. Now is the time for me to look out for my own mental and emotional health. I can't stay in a marriage where my feelings aren't taken into account and trust is broken. I can't see a way forward with her because she doesn't seem to feel bad about what she did and keeps saying that I'm the one who's wrong. I'm not being too dramatic. That's right. I'm sticking up for myself and my right to be in a proper, honest relationship. I'm not going to get a DNA test unless my kids ask for one. Though a test might show otherwise, I have no worries about their DNA linked to me. That wouldn't change how I feel about them. My kids are my everything, and the fact that my wife cheated on me doesn't change that. They've been my kids for 19 years. They'll always be my kids until the day I die. At that time, we were definitely only dating. To begin, marriage was very different around 20 years ago, and being exclusive was pretty much the norm for most people. People didn't think about having open relationships or casual dates the way people do today. People knew that when they were with someone, they were alone with that person. Second, we had a long and hard talk about how to keep our relationship going while she was away at college before she left. Even though it wasn't fun, she was determined that they would stay together. She even made fun of the fact that her dad would chase me down if I slept with other girls at school. There was a lot of weight to that joke, letting us know how serious she was about us staying together. The situation at my senior prom was another clear sign. She wasn't able to go because she was at college, and she got very angry when I suggested she go with a female friend. Her response showed how much she cared about our relationship and made it clear that we were the only ones in it. I couldn't let going to prom hurt her feelings, so I skipped it and spent the night with her instead. Because of all of these things and the way our relationship was before she went to college, it was clear that we were going to be together forever. Our deeds and conversations made it clear that we expected each other to be faithful. I got back in touch with the friend who told me I should be honest with my wife. She said that 10 guys would be the low end, and she also said that there was at least one baby scare in those years that I didn't know about. To be honest, the number of guys isn't the most important thing to me. The most important thing is that my wife doesn't seem to understand why what she did was wrong or why I feel so cheated. She hasn't shown any real drive to fix this, which would make a huge difference. Whenever we talked, she laughed off my feelings and told me I was exaggerating to something she thought was normal behavior. Before she knew I was serious about filing for divorce, she didn't say sorry or show any concern for the pain she caused. That's when she became defensive and angry. But even at that moment, it was clear that she cared more about what would happen than how I felt. There was no sign of regret. Before I started the papers and told her I had a lawyer, she didn't offer to fix things or offer ways we could work through this. It wasn't about making things right between us. It was all about limiting the harm. This answer made me even more sure that she doesn't understand how bad her deception is. It's not just about cheating, but about how she keeps ignoring how I feel in our marriage. I had to go through with the divorce because she was so rude, especially when it came to something so important. I think we can handle being parents together. Our kids are bigger now, and I've been saving for years for their college and other costs after high school, so money and custody problems shouldn't be a big problem. We both have steady jobs and don't have any debt. I'm ready to go to treatment if she is too. But right now it seems more important to us to learn how to be good co-parents and move on with our lives than to save our marriage. There are steps I've taken to move forward with the breakup. It was written by a lawyer who I hired and sent to her through certified mail with the goal to separate papers. Note that this is not a real divorce document that was filed with the state. This is just the first step to make sure she has time to hire her own lawyer if she wants to fight it. The divorce process itself is expected to take a few months. I haven't fully moved out yet. While I look for a more stable place to live, I've been staying with my brother. In terms of time, the dinner with her friends took place on the 26th. I took her to my brother's house that night to cool off and give her some space to think. We talked several times over the next 4 or 5 days, and it was clear that she didn't think she did anything wrong. If she had shown any sorrow, remorse, or simple care for how I felt, I might have thought again and waited. But I had no choice because of how rude she was. When I finally found a divorce lawyer, we quickly filled out the normal intent to separate forms and sent them off the same day. At this point, we are still not legally split. And I'm not sure if my state has a formal term for separation. Still, I've made it clear that this process is going to happen, and I've begun the steps that are needed to move forward. Change 1. Let's look at what I learned about her time in college. After a few therapy meetings with my wife and talks with 2 of her old roommates, it was clear that they had thought something was wrong with her in college. They said that something seemed off and that cheating was probably going on. They never brought it up because my wife told them that the 2 of us had some wild times in college, but that we worked things out before we got married. During dinner, my friend pulled me away because she didn't like how my wife had clearly never talked about this with me and thought I should know. When it comes to the men she was seeing, it turns out that some of the meetings weren't planned. One of the guys she slept with was later seen with and married one of our college friends. This was the guy she kept in touch with. During our therapy meetings, my wife tried to put the blame on me at first, saying that I had put her in those situations. She now knows that what she did was wrong, though. When I went to visit her in college, she usually wanted us to stay in her room or hang out by ourselves. But I wanted to go to college parties because I hadn't been to any in high school or community college. She didn't think I would meet the guys she had been seeing, but they were always at these parties, so she didn't think she could avoid it. Even though I still think it's very rude, it's not as bad as if she had purposely put me in front of them. The whole situation is hard to understand because there are so many lies and things that were not said. Her friends knew something was wrong but didn't do anything about it. And my wife was able to keep up this act for years. The main topic of most of our treatment meetings has been why I think her cheating on me is a big betrayal and she doesn't. At first she tried to explain her actions by saying that none of these guys were dating her. Most of them were one-night stands or friends with benefits. It wasn't a big deal to her because they weren't love situations. Those were her words, not mine. In my view, it didn't matter what kind of relationships were going on. We never agreed that that kind of behavior was okay. In fact, she had actively told me not to do the same thing. The clear difference in standards made me feel even more betrayed. My wife started to see things differently after we talked about this problem more in 2 therapy meetings and after she talked to some friends about it. She now admits that what she did hurt our relationship and broke our trust in each other. We can talk about the situation more freely and honestly now that we all understand it better. We've gone from heated arguments to useful chats. We're now getting along better, which gives me hope for our future as co-parents. Although it seems impossible to save our marriage, being open and honest about our past can help us build a better relationship in the future. This is very important for our kids' health and for getting through the tough parts of co-parenting well. This is why I'm going to get a divorce no matter what. 2 very important events made it clear to me that I had to end the marriage. First, we had a rough patch about 10 years ago and didn't spend much time together for almost 2 years. She had said that our physical relationship was getting boring. so I tried to make it more interesting. That's all. It was light role play, and things you'd find at a joke shop. I thought she was interested in something personal from college, but it turned out she was focused on things she doesn't want to talk about. She wanted me to bring those memories back to her, but when I did, they made her feel awkward and bad because they made her think of other guys she had been with. She says these things didn't matter, but the fact that they still have an effect on our marriage shows me that they did matter more than she's willing to admit. Second, she admitted that since the outbreak stopped, she has been flirting with coworkers while on business trips. It got to the point where she went on a date with one of her male coworkers, even though she says nothing physical happened. That was the thing that made the difference for me. These revelations broke any trust I still had. Even though she said it wasn't true, the first problem showed me that things that happened in the past were still affecting our present. Even after everything we had been through, the second problem showed that she was ready to break the rules again. Together, these two things made it hard for me to see how we could save our marriage. Our children know that we are divorcing each other. To explain, we told them that it was because of some bad choices we made in college that we still can't get over. My 19-year-old daughter, who is in college now, asked me straight if I had been cheating on my wife while she was away at school. When asked this question, my wife was taken off guard, but she told our kids that she had lied. Both of us have decided not to tell the kids any more information. We need to keep them away from the more painful parts of our lives. I told them that even though we are no longer together, we are still fully committed to being there for them. I want to make it clear that we are in treatment to make sure we handle the breakup in the best way for our family. I also told the kids that I would be there for them if they ever felt the need to talk about what was going on, whether it was with us or a doctor. I want them to feel like they can talk about how they feel and ask for help without any shame. Their mental health is very important to both of us, and they need to know that. And our whole family is doing everything they can to get through this hard time together. A mediator has been brought in to help us figure out the best way to move forward with the split. Unless something changes, it looks like we can say goodbye without a fight. Our finances are safe, we don't have any major bills, and since our kids are older, custody isn't a big deal. It's been hard these past few months, but I'm making it. In fact, I'm glad that my last post got so much attention. It helped me understand how I felt and made me want to go to therapy with my wife. To be fair, my daughter, who is 19 years old, has had some bad situations. It hurt her when her boyfriends cheated on her, or just left her for someone else. Because she's been with unreliable guys before. It's easy to see why her first thought might have been that I cheated on her. Even more, she thinks I did it because I was the one who left the house. For her, seeing her dad leave the house could have been a sign that he was admitting he did something wrong. It makes sense that her life events have changed the way she sees things, which makes it easier for her to think that I might be to blame. When the subject of cheating came up, my wife made it clear that she was the one who was cheating. Just being honest, I'm not too worried about this story. I believe my wife has not said any bad things about me to our children. She recently admitted to flirting and cheating, and she was ready to file for a joint, friendly divorce after only 6 weeks and 3 therapy meetings. It seemed like she was more ready to move on than I was. It makes the divorce process go more smoothly because she is ready, but it hurts to see that she is having an easier time ending a 20-year marriage than I am. I'm pretty sure she's already looking for someone else to date. When we met with the counselor for an equitable divorce, she made it clear that we are still married until the divorce is settled, and that cheating before that date could hurt our peaceful settlement. This comment seemed a little strange to me since our split is due to cheating. Still, it was clear that my soon-to-be ex was upset when this subject came up. I also think that the fact that I'm currently living in the guest room might be making it harder for her to move on quickly. In the end, I'm trying my best to accept that our marriage is over. Along with our couples meetings, I've been going to therapy by myself to help me deal. I'm preparing myself in my mind for the possibility of running into the coworker she only dated again. I hope to find a new place to live and move out before the divorce is official, though. We should be divorced by summer if the arbitrator does their job well. She can date anyone she wants, and I'll have my own space. The split between my wife and I is now final, and everything is set in stone. We were able to get a divorce without a fight and with few arguments. Through settlement. Our lawyers worked together to write the plan, and a judge approved it a few weeks ago. In the end, the divorce process was easy to understand. The only big problem was that our 17-year-old son was determined to stay with me because things were getting worse between them and my ex-wife. At first, my wife refused, ready to fight the divorce that wasn't challenged. She could either give him a few months to get over it and start over with her, or she could make him stay with her until he turned 18 and risk never seeing him again. Though I thought my son's stance was too tough, it made my wife give in. Moving forward with our plan, I will have main physical care of him until his birthday later this year. During this time, I've told my son to keep an open mind about making things right with his mother. She loved and cared for him for 17 years, even though she did bad things before he was born. As the divorce process went on, I saw that my son was spending more time with my ex-wife, which makes me think that they will get back together in the end. This has been a hard time for everyone, but I'm hopeful that they will be able to get back together in time. In the end, we split our assets and retirement cash 50/50. I didn't like the house as much as my wife did. She kept the house and most of the furniture though. To make things even, she got a mortgage to pay me back for half of the property and half of what the furniture was thought to be worth and new. It was easy to split up most of our other things. I kept my car, and she kept hers. And we split up our personal things, like my music gear and her hobby gear, as well as our clothes and other things that are unique to us. We decided to sell anything that was hard to divide and split the money we made. For an insurance rider we added to our home insurance a few years ago, we had already written down a list of most of our expensive things and electronics. This made the process go more smoothly. In my case, things have been going well. The fact that both of my kids spend most of their time at my house, and that we have stayed close was my biggest worry during the split. I'm glad and happy that this link is still strong. I love my new home that I just moved into. It's a spot that makes you feel like you can start over. As a nod to my midlife problem, I gave in my old minivan for a sleek Lexus LC 550, and it has brought me a lot of happiness. Another good thing is that a woman at work asked me to go on a coffee date. She is from a different department than me, so we don't work directly together. She knew I was honest when I told her I wasn't ready to date yet. She understood and kindly offered to take a rain check, saying she would be happy to go out with me when I was ready. I liked getting this offer as a surprise. She's very smart and funny, and our jobs aren't too close for comfort, so we don't feel weird around each other at work. My ex-spouse and I are still going to couples therapy, but now the focus is on ending our marriage and making sure we can be good parents together. These meetings have been very helpful for processing everything and keeping a healthy, upbeat atmosphere no matter what. But they've also agreed that getting a divorce was the right thing to do. From what we've talked about, it's clear that my wife started dating as soon as the divorce process began. This shows that our love was already fading. The coworker she said was just a friend may have even dropped her off at our most recent meeting. I was shocked that this didn't bother me much, which shows that I was also ready to end the marriage. Getting over the deception will take time, but I feel like I'm making good progress. I'm sure that getting a divorce was the right thing to do. In the last 4 months, I've cried more tears than in the previous 20 years put together. But for the first time in a long time, I've really felt good about myself this month. I'm loving being on my own again and keeping busy by getting my 17-year-old daughter ready for college in the fall. In a month or two, I'm looking forward to going to coffee with a smart, funny lady. Going through our breakup taught me how important it is to be honest with each other. I wish we had been more honest with each other from the start, now that I think about it. In all the relationships I have from now on, sexual or not, I will remember what I learned. The most important thing is that I found the strength to rebuild and move on. Though I've been through a lot, I'm starting to feel good about myself again.